we'll have a record of what it is we're saying. And in another few minutes, I'll close the meeting, or I'll just lock the meeting so we don't have any interruptions. So calling the meeting to order. I believe that Danette probably won't be joining us. I think you all saw in the agenda that unfortunately her brother died last week on Monday, a week from yesterday, in Atlanta where he lives. And he was one of the members of the Campbell Brothers band, that steel band that Danette has spoken of a number of times and is very proud of. So I know that is going to hit her family very hard, and I really haven't had a chance to catch up with her real time, but I feel very sad for that. And if anybody wants to send her a note, that would be appreciated. On another sad note to start out our meeting is that Linda McCammon has decided to resign from the board. She has a number of things going on in her life, and with the school situation so much up in the air, she felt that she wouldn't be able to give it her enough attention to be able to be credible on the board. So she is stepping off the board, and that is that leaves a major hole that we have to find a way to fill, because she was the one that was, working the judging committee and stuff like that. So thankfully we're not doing any judging this year, so that gives us a little bit of leeway. But Linda has officially resigned, and I have accepted. Any comments on those two sad things? Sorry to start out the meeting on such a sober note.
I just second your comments about Linda. She really had a major impact on the organization in many, many ways.
Yes.
Good wisdom and good thoughts, and great commitment to a volunteer cause. So she will be missed.
Is there someone that could step up into her shoes that might be less orienting to what she did, the role she played?
Yeah, I think we have to think about that, Holly, going forward. That's definitely a role that's critical to us, but thankfully, again, not so critical this year, because we're just not, what her major role was to organize the judging process and get the judges lined up and conduct the site visits and all that stuff, which we won't be doing this year. So at least we have the gift of some time to get a backfill for her, but we need to start thinking about that right away. Eric, you were on board. Eric Knack, you were on board for the ethics moment this month. Did you get a chance to look something up?
Yeah, well, I was gonna be working on that this morning. That was part of my plan. So, but then I just started, so I started writing all kinds of, I started getting philosophical and writing all kinds of little notes and questions I could have for everybody. And then what I did is I just started asking myself, what are, with everything that's been going on with with COVID, the ethical decisions that as a company and as an individual that I have faced and that all of us face, right? We all have them. And just realize that how often it really comes up in our work and professional lives that we have to make regular, ongoing ethical decisions. And until you take some time to sit down and think about it, it's like, wow, it's constant. And I just had a few that I wrote down. And again, it's just from my experience, the whole use of PPE, right? That's obviously major issue right now. And just in the last 3 weeks, we've had to terminate one employee and suspend 2 employees for not using PPE at customers' homes. And these are people that we have spent tens of thousands of dollars to train and to make those decisions, how difficult that is. But I'm sorry that we had to make them, but I feel good that we did make them. Right. But could have very easily just, look, don't do that again. and written it down and just move on. But, you know, we take it very seriously. So that's probably been one of the biggest impacts on us. And then early on in all this, when they started talking about essential businesses versus non-essential, you know, heating, air is considered essential, but then we were battling, you know, we were still doing maintenance visits for customers, right? Is a maintenance visit an essential part of business? And we sat there and we debated it. And what we ended up deciding on is we did do the maintenances, but what we realized is that we find on an average month, we find about 100, 120 homes that have gas leaks, right? So our decision was, okay, if we're doing these and we're finding gas leaks, there is an ethical reason to be doing this, but it's a tough balance though, right? Because it's also a business decision. So just trying to get those out and talk them through as a company and just understanding what you should or should not be doing. And then I was thinking back, we were also right in the very beginning, we were faced with the issue with the N95 masks, right? The N95 masks is what everybody was wanted in the beginning. And we had the N95s, and you've probably seen the ones that also have a little valve on the front of them. Well, those ones with a little valve, those are more of a respirator because those are so you can breathe out and not fog up the mask. And as we learn more, those N95 masks with the little valves, which is actually a higher quality mask, that's actually defeating the purpose because you're not wearing the mask to protect you from somebody else. You're using it to protect other people for when you cough or sneeze or something like that. So by having a little valve in there, it actually would allow it to release. So we had, you know, that's all we had. We had a couple hundred of them, and we had to not use them, and we had to find something else, which we were fortunately able to do. And then I had another one on there about, you know, we had to shut down our training center. We didn't have to, we chose to, but it's just, you know, there was 4 ethical dilemmas that we're faced with, you know, just in the last so many weeks. And I'm sure there's many more in there that I could have, but just it was an interesting exercise just to see how often we have to make those decisions. So that's my educational ethic moment of the month.
Excellent, excellent. Thanks, Eric. And one of the mysteries of ethics, from my point of view, that I've been curious about all along, is how difficult it is to recognize an ethical dilemma when it's sitting right in front of you. Sometimes it's, you know, you're making an ethical decision, you don't realize it's an ethical decision until, you know, looking back on it. And so that's, I think, a constant battle. And one of the things that, as we try to elevate Rochester and celebrate ethical cultures, it helps that other people can see the ethical decisions that they're dealing with more readily. And I think that's a service we provide.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Eric, I just want to tag onto your story briefly that quite a few years ago, when you guys were still on Charlotte Street,
Mm-hmm.
I had a date with Ray to talk about something about Ray Beff. I can't even remember what the topic was. And in your lobby there, you had a great big placard with the Ray Beff logo and that you'd been an award winner. And I needled Ray and I said, "Oh, is this like when Aunt Sally comes, you know, hey, run up the attic and get that vase down that she gave us?" He said, No. He said, "That's there all the time." He said, "Listen, the award really changed how I do business."
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, that's crazy, Ray. You got the award because of the way you do business. He said, "No, it raised the bar because my employees now expect a higher level of attention."
Mm-hmm.
And what reminded me of that is your story about the employees, that you had to take strong action to have your actions match your stance on ethical behavior. It was a powerful lesson, I thought, that here was a guy in a company that had been awarded, and didn't call it Ethy back then, but one of our very early awards for their ethical behavior. And he said it changed the way they do business. It upped the bar for him.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess kudos to Isaac and kudos to the power of the award.
Yeah, no, it was actually, that's actually one of our, if not it might be our most proud award, because being a contractor, right? I mean, that in itself has its own stigma, you know, and to be an ethical organization, that's about culture. That's not about what you charge, what you put in, the way you do an installation or a service call. I mean, that's the core of your organization, and that carries throughout the culture. When you have that and you can carry that forward with your entire team and get everyone engaged and hold everyone at a higher standard, it does. It allows you to elevate. I like that.
Yeah. Anyway.
This isn't a fully formed idea, but I just kind of wanted to plant a seed maybe as we're moving forward and thinking about how to reinvent, because we were on the education committee call right before this, talking about, you know, how can we celebrate those that really went above and beyond. And I think I love that idea, and I hear that there's going to be some more, you know, going on with that. But I wonder too if there's a way to engage or create some kind of discussion or reach out to people just for some of those, you know, like the things that Eric mentioned that are maybe not like newsworthy decisions, but they're difficult decisions that need to be made by business leaders, and might be, even if it's just like a little short paragraph of here's what we decided and the thinking we went through and why we made it, or like some way to reach out or re-engage some of our you know, past winners or something like that. I don't know, but I think that there's I don't know. I was just really inspired listening to Eric's stories, and I bet every business owner has tons of those that, again, they may not think that it's something to go celebrate and be newsworthy over, but something that I think if everyone just starts to think about these things more as ethical decisions and think through them more consciously.
Well, Andrew, I think a big part of that really is with a lot of things, whether it's in life or business, is the constant reminders, because there's so much, right? As a living human, there's so much that we have to absorb and do and think about, and to have those little reminders. You know, so I like to listen to Brene Brown and her podcasts, and just the things I hear are just the little reminders that touch me. Right. And I think we can all use that on a regular basis.
Excellent discussion. One of the things, Jeff, that came up in the education committee is that we used to capture these ethics moments discussions in some form and put them on our website. I don't think we do that anymore, do we?
No, we haven't done that.
I think that's an opportunity that we could do going forward, that if the person that does the ethics moment can document a paragraph or a picture, or a link to the article or something like that, and submit it, then we'll have a record. Because I think 2 or 3 years ago we were doing that on a routine basis, and we just got away from it.
One of the intents when David Hoffberg first started was to encourage our family to use these in their monthly newsletter or at their monthly employee meetings or whatever. Just one other thought before we leave this. I don't know how many of you read Jim Nortz's most recent column, but the last paragraph was really heartwarming. And it says, because sustained business performance is dependent on the quality of relationships between employees and stakeholders, there is no ounce of prevention or upstream intervention more potent than building an ethical culture. Costs virtually nothing to implement this strategy, and the return on investment is significant. Building and sustaining a strong ethical culture not only reduces compliance risks, it also fosters a place to work in an economic ecosystem that will help your business thrive over the long term. Eric, that sounds like a perfect description of what goes on at Isaac.
Yeah, and the book that he mentions in that article was also one of my lockdown reads. It's called Upstream. I'd highly recommend it.
Upstream?
Upstream, yeah. How to basically, prevent problems before they happen, and think further upstream.
Okay.
Who wrote that, Andrew?
One of the Heath brothers. I think Dan Heath.
I think it is Dan Heath.
Great. So are there any pieces of good news around? We're all dealing with tough news and difficult situation. Anybody have a little good news tidbit to report?
I do.
Good, Mark. What is it?
Well, the good news is that our first podcast that we did with Deborah Pierce is uploaded. You can find it at, if you look at elevaterochesterpodcast.com, it is up there for you to stream. It is currently in with Apple for approval, and I expect to get that today or tomorrow. And once it's approved, then as soon as I launch them on the site, they immediately go to Apple Podcasts. And I have 3 more audio files from Mr. Whipple to construct, and we will have then 4 podcasts that are up and running. So that will be by the end of the week.
Great.
Nice
And more
job.
to come.
And more to come. So
Yeah.
it's looking good.
Well, I have one to report that was kind of a curious thing. Yesterday was my birthday, and my son arranged, I can't believe he did this, he arranged for John Cleese to make a video congratulating me on my birthday and relating my story to the Goon Shows. It's just, I couldn't believe it. I thought he was just kidding me, but it actually, he made about a 5-minute video saying, "Bob, happy birthday."
That's cool. Well, happy birthday.
Thanks. Other
Happy
good
birthday,
news.
And
Bob.
Alan, I was gonna say, I have something good news to share. I know I've shared it with the finance committee, but not with everyone else, but I'm expecting my second child.
Ah, yes.
Hey,
Congratulations.
congratulations.
Thank you.
When's the baby due?
September 20th. And I'm having a boy this time. So I have a 2-year-old daughter, and then
Congratulations.
Nice.
Any other good news?
Well, September 20th is my birthday. And I think Jeffrey Allen is a very nice name.
Okay, Jen, do you want to discuss the financial situation?
Sure. So I have actual financial statements this month. So obviously we're expecting to have a loss each month because we're not really bringing in much income. So year to date, we did get 1,100 pledged from the board so far that we've received through April. And then with expenses, we have a loss about $5,400. Expenses, I would expect to go down on a monthly basis after this because we've cut back a lot with TRO, with the Rivers organization. So some of that's still in there. We have about $18,800 of cash, which is about $7,000 less than last year, but that's pretty much expected with not getting any income in. And I went ahead and basically prepared a budget based on the updated information we know, which overall expecting our expenses for the year to be about $11,200. Obviously, you see we've incurred probably like 5,000 of that already, so we're expecting it to be not that much more. So I have just the rough budget in here, but then I also have the actuals from January through April compared to the budget, so you can kind of see where we stand.
Great. Anybody?
Other thing I wanted to mention, Bob, was I know you mentioned this last time, was the spreadsheet that I got from Terry. And I actually had a discussion with Jeff last week in regards to it, because I know he was looking for some information. I think we should definitely have a discussion around whether it makes sense to have some kind of database to maintain all this stuff, because I feel like the Excel file is very disorganized with so much inaccurate information. It's not timely updated, and I feel like maybe some kind of database, I know Jeff mentioned Access or something simple that we could actually utilize when we're get into doing sponsorship or marketing or whatever, because it's kind of a mess.
Yeah, and Vicky will remember we made an attempt to use Salesforce and get get that lined up and active for us, and it really didn't take. It was more complex than we were able to deal with, I guess is the best way to say it. Is that right, Vicki?
Yes, I would agree that it was more complex than we had anticipated. We spent a lot of time with Terry training and racking up dollars for the training. And then we just had board members and committee members that just felt like it was too much to learn, so it wasn't utilized.
Yeah.
So I think the key that Jen had said is that something simple. I agree, keeping it in an Excel sheet has never been something I felt comfortable with. But if we learned anything from the Salesforce debacle, was that keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah. And so maybe an Access database is the best approach to use. I'm not an expert in Access, but I have used it a couple times in the past, and it does allow you to look at things in lots of different ways.
Yeah, and I think to add to that, I almost think that it's beyond Terry's capabilities. She is not good with Excel. Like the spreadsheet wasn't consistent from year to year, so it was like hard to follow. So it might be something that we need to try to do in-house, to be honest, because I don't know if she has the Excel or Access capabilities to maintain that database without it being a lot of hours and a lot of money on their end.
Yep. So the action item becomes, how do we get from here to a better state? If we know what we don't want to continue having an Excel thing that just gets bigger and bigger, and you can't interpret year to year what's going on. So we do need something, and we don't want to go back and try to revive Salesforce because I know I personally put an awful lot of time into that, and it really didn't pay off. So I think Access is probably the best surrogate, but who do we have that can actually pull that one off? I don't know.
Well, I would also interject and say, are there other CRM systems that work for not-for-profits that we should be taking a look at?
Probably. Well, let's.
So should our action item be, maybe we can all think about if we've been on other organizations or people we've worked with that ask of what they typically use to see what might make sense, or some ideas to kind of brainstorm.
Good idea.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I know my wife is very astute on Access and other CRM databases. So maybe.
Looks like he froze.
Fair enough.
We think so. We lost you for a couple of minutes.
We lost you until fair enough. So we don't know what we're agreeing to.
We trust you.
Did you lose the audio?
Yeah.
Oh dear. I don't know what happened.
Froze.
Okay. Did anybody have a problem or an issue?
Eric was talking without. There you go.
Sorry, I had it on mute. I realized when Bob started talking over me, I thought that was pretty rude. No, I was just thinking, we just said we would all think about or talk to people. I wonder if it'd be more effective to maybe identify 10 or 12 similar organizations, maybe in size, makeup, and then maybe reach out directly to them. Because if we start going, because depending on the size of the organization, they could have an enterprise software that they paid tens of thousands of dollars for versus maybe determining similar size organizations. I don't know, just a different approach. So wanted to throw that out there. And I'm gone.
Yeah, we certainly don't have the resources to go big time on this. Kathy?
Right.
Okay, are the notes from the last meeting adequate? Anybody have a concern or change they want to make?
Exceptionally well done.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you, Jennifer, for doing that. And so I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
So moved.
Second,
I'll second it.
all in
Eric,
favor? Aye.
aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the notes are passed. How about the consent agenda? We didn't have all the committees reporting in this last month because they weren't all active, but to the extent we have some committees submitting, can I get a nomination for the to approve the consent
moved.
agenda? And a second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
So to the extent we had information coming in, it's now approved and will go into the records as such. So now we have some forward-thinking things going on. Kathy, do you want to talk about the education committee meeting we just had and what we're thinking about?
Real quick before you move forward,
Yes.
you need to approve the budget, or do people want time to look at it?
I think this is what you submitted is the revised budget based on our income projections and everything.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll entertain a
Basically,
motion.
no income projection, so it's just expenses.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve the budget.
So moved.
Motion.
Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Second. Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you, Jen, for reminding me of that. So Kathy, yeah, what did we discuss this morning in our education committee meeting?
Laura, what didn't we discuss? Great discussion as always. We talked about the potential subscription model and the importance of making it value to those that are part of our subscription, whether it's an individual or corporate level. You know, having different events, whether fall and spring or throughout the year even. Potentially having a monthly newsletter where we can have content to highlight or showcase a member, or one suggestion was to have one of our honor roll members, for example, offer a coupon so that it gives them exposure, but also gives people an incentive to try them beyond just the fact that they're an ethical company, and also maybe a vehicle to share our ethics moment in another way and share those good discussions we have there. So that discussion will continue as we understand more about what we can and shouldn't do for that process to get that up and running versus a membership model, which seems to have more landmines and such. So we're looking for more guidance from the governance committee on that. We also discussed the November event briefly, and the focus likely will be more of a virtual meeting versus in person. The ability to have that at Fisher may not exist at this point or anywhere because of, you know, it just might not be safe at that point. So probably going to be focusing more on a virtual meeting, which many things are going in that direction anyways. And a lot of in-person things are being canceled through the end of the year. So we just think it's better that way. But that offers us many opportunities to be able to bring in people from other parts of the country or even the world, anywhere really. Mars we could do because we're doing it virtually and there's no travel expenses to pay for. Nice. So we'll be looking and brainstorming ways to make that happen and what types of speakers to have. Bob raised one potential option. Nancy Settle Murphy, who has the Guided Insights blog and website, and I sent that out to the committee members before this meeting. So that has some pretty interesting looking content I plan to check out myself.
Let me just hitchhike on that one, Kathy, while you're mentioning it. I actually already got a response back from Nancy that she would be delighted to do an interview. So we'll be setting that up, and that'll be part of something that we can build on. But basically informing the rest of the board. Nancy is a international resource. She's probably one of the best in the world at virtual team effectiveness. That's her business. That's what she's been doing for the past 20 years before COVID-19. And of course now she's
Vicky's
doing
trying to
that.
get back. Vicky's trying to get back into the meeting. She had to switch devices, so she needs you to let her back in.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, sorry to interrupt.
Okay, thanks. I don't see it because I've locked the meeting, so I got to unlock the meeting, and then I can let her in. I think. How do I? Where are you, Vicky? Doesn't show she's waiting.
Holly, I'm pretty sure in answer to your question that there have been no contracts that were established. That would be Danette's bailiwick, but I don't think anything's been done. We certainly didn't do anything with Jiva, and I don't think she would have done anything else other than that. So I think we're okay. Thank you, though, for thinking about it.
Eric, if you're in contact with Vicky, I'm not seeing.
I just emailed her and said try again.
I'm not seeing her knocking on the door here to be let in, but I've opened the meeting, so if she knocks on the door, I can let her in. Okay, so go ahead, Kathy.
Okay. And then let's see. Oh, we were talking about the question, the one question survey that Bob had sent out previously. I was confused myself about whether it was ready for me to participate in, so I hadn't. So I know others may not have as well. So Bob is going to send that back around to make sure that everyone that wanted to participate in it could do so, and go from there.
My memory was a bit foggy on this one. I don't recall if we do have a Survey Monkey survey that 3 of us have responded to. And so I can just send the link for that survey out again to all of us and ask you to please respond within a day or 2. It's a very short survey, very easy to do. And that way we can get some information and then move forward with going out to the rest of the community. Is that okay with everybody?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And then aside from that, there was an update from Bob, I believe, the interviews that were going on with the coronavirus champions. So those will be interesting to see and hear. There's so many. We could write a book about some of the things these people have done. It's just amazing. And then we also had a discussion about ethical dilemmas, and Bob raised about the point about Lauren Dixon and the articles she's been doing about maintaining culture and whatnot since all this began. You know, the dilemma for people in general about whether to wear masks or not, whether companies should open or not. Right now, there are so many ethical dilemmas flying around. Eric raised several of his own this morning. Great points. We could have a whole day conference on and handle discussions about the dilemmas that everyone has faced, and how do you come out on the other side when everyone is right?
Yeah, and Lauren did a panel discussion with the CEO of the Great Places to Work organization, as well as John Alhart. I believe that's Don Alhart's son, I think.
Yep.
And he works at Dixon Schwabel. So they did probably about an hour discussion in which she was just so eloquent about how to show and demonstrate that you care about your employees in a situation like this. And it was similar to the articles that she's been writing in RBJ, but just really well done. And the fact that the Great Places to Work guy, you know, said you folks are probably one of the best in the world. How about that?
Yeah. But how do they sanitize that big slide? That's what I want to know. So basically, with the ethical dilemma discussion, you know, how can we play a role in helping with that discussion? And that comes back to the newsletter, it comes back to the events we're doing. So there's lots of different ways that we might be able to affect some change there, or just help with the discussion about when people are trying to figure out what to do about these things and how their decision tree. Oh, Vicky's back. Yay. Oh, no, Vicky's gone.
Oh,
Well, your
sorry.
picture gone. She's still on the treadmill. So yeah, I think that covers pretty much everything we discussed in a nutshell.
Excellent. Ray Shady can't be here for the discussion in the products committee, so he asked me to pinch hit for him. And the rest of the products committee, everybody's pretty much here. So the report is that we've been doing a lot of work on the concept of the coronavirus, the Elevate Rochester Coronavirus Champions. We now have 89 different entries on that letter that I keep adding to. So there's plenty of fodder to work with. And we have, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 recorded video or audio or both interviews of CEOs or high level people in the organizations so that we have material to work with. And Jeff will be outlining here in a minute the process that we're going to use to get them out to the community via our website and other social networking. So we're very active. Ray's been doing a fine job of keeping us moving forward. And I feel personally really very good about the fact that we're not sitting still in this time of confusion and turmoil. We are really moving forward rather well. And Mark, your ability to make this technically look good and be excellent. And Deborah did an excellent job of interviewing that one group, which was what's the name of that group, Deborah?
Farmer Friends.
Farmer Friends.
Yeah, Farmer Friends, yep.
So we've got a lot of stuff that's in the pipeline coming along that we're going to be able to share, and there's more coming. Jeff is going to be interviewing Catholic Family Center CEO. I'm going to be interviewing the CEO of ESNL. So we're going to have, probably a good dozen or so nice compressed video and audio files that we can use. That's the report from Ray. Any questions or discussion relative to that? Okay. So Jeff, you want to describe the discussions that we've been having around how to get this stuff disseminated?
Sure. Thanks, Bob, and good morning, everybody. What we've been talking about is using our various channels to push out this great content that we're putting together. And the volume of this content is not an issue, but getting it out there is a little bit of one. But we think we have a plan, and it's just to, in a pretty straightforward way, use the channels we have on social media. That would be Facebook and LinkedIn, and then to post to our website. And the other very important one that Jennifer and I talked about last week is our database. That will enable us to email everybody with these messages. And that really, email is still the most important communication tool that we have. So it's critical that we get this database to where it needs to be. And I've already volunteered to help Jennifer with that because I have a keen interest in it from our communication point of view. I did post the ITX interview to Facebook and LinkedIn last week, and our engagement is there, but it's at a very low level. And so what that tells me is we don't have a huge, I can tell you, our Facebook page has 411 followers. That's not very big for an organization like ours, and we need to grow that. The pitiful statistic is that our LinkedIn page has 138 followers. We gained one new one last week, and that is just not good. It's not good because Facebook's great, but really LinkedIn is where we belong. That should be our chief channel, because we're really a business-oriented group. I mean, Facebook is still the most popular and most powerful social media channel on earth, so that's fine, but LinkedIn is where I think we need to really build our strength. And to that end, I would ask each of you as board members, if you aren't following our LinkedIn page, please. This is a basic, I would say, component of board membership. Please follow us on social media.
Right. There's also a LinkedIn group, but
there's a LinkedIn group, right?
Still shows up as RayBef.
Yeah, and the reason it still shows up as RayBef, because we've rebranded the other channels, is that Rick Rivers controls this group, and I have messaged him to ask him to give me control, because that's how we're going to change it and get it under our flag, our new flag, and he hasn't responded yet, but I'll get back to him again. Rick Rivers he apparently set that up, but we need to take control of that. What else was I going to say on that front?
Okay, so we're all going to volunteer to sign up for the Elevate Rochester Facebook page and the Elevate Rochester LinkedIn page.
Yes. Yes, thanks for that recap, Bob. And the other thing we'd like to do is post these items to our website, and so we'll be doing that with the help. We're going to be setting up a place to do that with the help of our new website vendor that's coming online shortly, if not sooner. As Bob mentioned, the ethics moments that we do every month, they should be posted to the website. And so if you would send your synopsis to me, I can make sure that happens. I can't emphasize enough, again, about this database. I suspect Access is our tool, because everything else is going to cost us money. And anyone with, the Microsoft Office suite, most people have access if you've got the business version of Microsoft Office. So, people could get into that, and we could post it in a, some cloud location so that people can look at it and use it. Because right now, I'm so discouraged looking at that Excel spreadsheet. It's just very disappointing that we paid an organization to put that together. It's not good. So enough about that.
I reached that conclusion last year when I tried to work with it. It was impossible.
It's not the right tool, and it wasn't even done well. And so we need to fix it.
Yep.
Jeff, I'm obviously a novice at this, but isn't there a way for us to help expand the LinkedIn membership by pushing it out somehow, or what's that process? What can we do to expand LinkedIn beyond ourselves?
Well, there are two ways to do it, unpaid and paid. And the unpaid way is to get all of us on it, so that all of the people who know us will see it when we react to those posts. So the way it works is we post something to our page. All of us go on there and like it and comment. And when we like it and comment, it shows up in our feed. And then all the people we know see it. And that gives them an opportunity to like it and comment on it. Okay. If we don't interact with it, it doesn't show up anywhere. It just lays there. So that's the problem with that. So that's the unpaid method. The paid method is you put some dollars against it and you promote it. And LinkedIn posts it to people's pages, for you, so that they can see it. And you tell them who you want to see it, what your demographics are, and they, it's like an ad. They put it up. It's a paid promoted post, and that's another avenue.
Okay, thank you.
But I think we should do everything we can on an unpaid level before we reach that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, and I'm posting on LinkedIn a couple times a week, going out to 3 million people around the world. So it's like easy to do. And I can post an article about Elevate Rochester anytime, and I will do that. And that will get us some, it gets a lot of hits. It gets me about 10,000 hits a month.
Yeah, fantastic. You've got it, Bob. That's the method.
Okay, and Eric, we didn't have a governance. Did you finish, Jeff?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Eric, we didn't get a governance committee meeting in before our board meeting, but we're having one tomorrow morning. So is there anything that you want to report to the board relative to what's going on with governance?
No, nothing really at this point. We're still in the process of going through and updating policies. And I've been continuing to do some research on the member organization concept. We're going to discuss that at governance tomorrow and should have some more news in the next meeting on how we can structure that.
Okay. And Kara never made it here. She said she had a conflict and was going to try to get here before 9 o'clock, but obviously she's not here. So that's what we had on the agenda. Oh, there's under new business, online fundraising efforts. Alan, you were making contact with that company. Do you want to give a little report there on what you're finding?
Let me give you a little bit of background. This started because I had gone to a fundraising breakfast, I think for one of the that all women's charter school, and they did their sort of fundraising shtick by phone, by texting on your cell phone. And when they do it, they got a chart on the screen that shows the bar going up as more people give and put your names in. And I thought it was very effective. So I started to sniff around and ended up with a company called One Cause, who has a product called Text to Give. And it's a pretty simple system. You pick a code word, and I think ours obviously is Elevate. Mm-hmm. And then they give you a truncated phone number or text number, so you don't have to put in 10 digits, you put in 5 digits, and that takes you to a page which would be a donation page. And you got all kinds of flexibility. You can put down numbers, what your contribution levels are. I'm a $10, $50, $100, $300, etc., whatever you choose, and other. And then you click on a page and it takes you to your credit card information. You enter your credit card and it's a done deal. So I was thinking of it in the context of our Ethy celebration with our fabulous MC being the ringmaster and incenting people to get on their phones and donate. And I thought we would certainly raise some money that way. We've, as you may know, we've had these little envelopes at our event for people to fill out, and we probably haven't gotten 10 responses if we've gotten that many. That's just not effective. Once the event is over, they take it home and it goes in the wastebasket and so on. So, but it turns out that these folks also have something that could be done year round. So for example, if we get our database in shape, we could put out a plea for support. They'll put our logo on it and any information we want. So it could be an ongoing fundraising tool, and I thought might be really effective during this hiatus we've got with our regular sponsorship activities. So, and by the way, the package is $495. So well within our reach, I think. So I'm going to do a little more work, and I will put together a better report and give you some ability to check their site so you can see the options. But I think it's pretty appealing, and I think it could work not just as at the event and not just in this year, but could be a continuing tool for us. So that's the Cliff Notes version. But I think it's a keeper.
Yeah, it sounds like a really great system, and at $500, that'd pay for itself in less than a year easily. I
Yeah.
would think.
So I think, you know, it gives us the option that we probably don't want to do it quite yet, but as we get more and more open, I think it gives us kind of a low-key, soft sell approach to going back to our supporters and getting some funding for this year without the sort of higher intensity method that we've normally used of a personal phone call and a visit and, you know, how about $3,500, whatever. So I think it has a particular appeal in this year. At least my view is it would be a much more low key, less pressure way of inviting people to support us. I don't know
Yeah.
how the rest of you feel, but
Everybody
so
agree? I think you're on the right track, Alan.
Yes.
I'll put together something and send you out some materials so you can all look at it. But it's pretty impressive, and I think it. And the other thing it does, of course, is because of our being able to send this out with our logo and our tagline and any other information you want to put us back in front of people, whether they donate or not. Just, you know, Elevate Rochester is alive and well. And I think that's an important activity for this year. And especially in conjunction with the media, you know, the pandemic champions or whatever we're going to call them, effort. I think it's a nice combination.
Yep. Okay, that's what we had on the agenda. Are there any people that want to say anything else, or shall we call for an adjournment? Not seeing any hands going up. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks for a good meeting. Appreciate the
Thanks,
time,
Bob.
everybody. Stay
Good
safe,
meeting.
and we'll see you in a month.
Thank you.
Nice to see you all.
Take
Bye,
care.
everyone.